Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. The singer. Oh well, tonight actually, Tuesday night, every Tuesday night, we open live streamings in English. And tonight, we are going to invite here two people. One of them is a member of our team, and the other one is a person who I value very much. He has already reviewed our book, which was translated to English, and I pay much respect to him and to her, to both of them, because I think very highly of people who are available to serve others, and this is what they do. So I'm going to, let's see here, Marcela is, and also, let's just wait a little bit. Cannot hear you. Okay, you're there, and now he's there as well. Welcome here. Al, is everything all right?
Yes, yeah, everything's wonderful. How are you?
Here, trying to cope with everything that is going on, and very excited to talk about it all with you people. I just want to make sure that I can hear Marcela as well. Let's see. Now, yes, now we can. Okay. I thought when you just logged that you are not with your volume on, so that's fine, that's good. So okay, I said a few words about you guys because I very much pay respect to you because of everything you do, and I'm just glad that we can be here talking about everything that's going on, not just in our sanctuary but in the world. I think sometimes when we talk about all these things happening, sometimes we think that it's just a disaster in a place, or is that something that is happening in a country or in a city. And I would like us to talk about what is going on in the world and your perception about this. Well, I said something about you both, but I would like you both to say something about yourselves, to present yourselves. So, Mari, you want to go first?
Yeah, okay. So I'm a volunteer from Santuário Vale da Rainha. I think for almost 6 months right now. I don't know, because
Intense
it feels
month.
like forever. It feels like I was born there. And I'm also a fundraiser for SVB. And I'm a liar. The former one it's a mistake of life. And what about you, El?
Yes, well, what can I say? Just a regular person, but I was very honored to help review that wonderful book of yours, Patricia, and also you were so gracious to invite me to the sanctuary, which was just a beautiful experience. Loved meeting you, Marcela, and the animals. So a big thank you. I've been lucky to be able to travel to different sanctuaries around the world, and yours is one of the best out there for sure. It's absolutely amazing. Yeah, for me, I've been vegan for 11 years, and I've worked with different animal rights organizations, including PETA. Yeah, it's just nice. I'm very honored to be here, so thank you.
Thank you all. I said this before, you're very humble. So thank you very much for saying yes to this live streaming. Thank you for talking to us, and thank you for everything that you are doing, as well as Marcela, because she does a lot as well. So thank you, both of you. All right, something happened about 10 days ago in Cunha, and I'd like us to talk a little bit more about this. It was a disaster. We encountered over 300 master calves abandoned to death. This whole thing went to court, and we have, for their lives, for their entire lives, we are going to look after them. And of course, it's very exciting to think about this. Wow, they are going to be safe, they are going to live well, they are honored. And there are a lot of facets about this as well. For instance, how we are going to provide for them. For instance, what about the others that could not have the chance to be rescued? What about the loss? Meaning, how come we can have farmers doing what they are doing without even a second thought? So all of these things I would like to talk about, just for us to understand the whole picture, but in the sense of raising awareness. Because I do believe that we are going to face more and more disasters. And I say this not in a with a happy voice, just say, okay, that's fine. It's just one more that we are going to see, and then next. It's not something like this. What I'm saying is, if we raise awareness, if we are successful raising awareness, we can avoid the next disaster. And as far as I know, these things are happening all around the world. So I would like Al to tell us, what do you see as far as disasters going on? Because sometimes people think, okay, this was a disaster. But what I think to myself is that everything that is going on with master animals is a disaster. You know, sometimes we see, sometimes we don't see, but everything is a disaster. So I just would like you to share your perspective about the life of these beings, Al, and how you see this as being different just because we can see. I don't know if it makes sense.
Yeah, sure. Firstly, just a terrible news to hear about more animals being treated this way. Thank you so much for your help with them and all of the I'm really interested to hear more about this situation. But yeah, in general, I feel that there's so much suffering going on around the world with animals, and we don't always hear their screams and see this. There are some brave investigators that go into these slaughterhouses and factory farms. Just the other day, there was an investigation released in the UK with terrible animal abuse in Wales. I feel like it's happening all around the world, all of the time, and we can't even fathom, the amount of suffering that's happening, because it's really in the billions. Billions of animals being exploited and used, and so yeah, it's tremendously difficult, and it can be quite sad and almost depressing to think about it. And I suppose you have to try to help as many animals as you can, and obviously you're doing a great job with your sanctuary there. Yeah, it's incredibly difficult, and we just have to bring awareness as much as we can, and to help these animals, give them a voice.
Yes, thank you very much, Al. I just wanted to start talking about this because, again, sometimes we look at what's going on in Cunha and we say, what a disaster. But everything that's going on with master animals outside the sanctuary in the world is commonly a disaster. Either we see or we don't see it. It doesn't matter because it's a disaster anyway. Mar, you were there. Can you tell us what you saw, how you felt about everything that is going on right now? Because, for instance, before starting this live streaming, I talked over the phone with Victor. He is there from the beginning, and he will continue until the last one comes to our sanctuary. And he told me that from yesterday to today, we had almost six, because one is not yet laid down, but the other are just, they are falling down. They are just falling down because they are so weak. So it's something, as you said, we cannot even, I can say, okay, I imagine how much suffering they go through. I can think about it, but it's just something that it's unimaginable. It's just so much. So, Mark, can you tell us about what you saw, how you felt, anything that comes to your heart?
Yeah, sure. First of all, the toughest thing is that those are children we are talking about. They are only calves. They didn't have a chance to be with their mother. They just saw suffering. They are not accustomed to humans petting them, like showing love, you know. They are really scared, and they are really tiny in comparison with other calves. So starvation and all the things that they must went through early in their lives, it's terrible. And it's every disaster is different from another, and this one broke my heart because, again, we are talking about children, and they're helpless. You have, like, I don't know, of the 310 or maybe 12 that are a little bit bigger, but all of them are so tiny. It's I don't know, it's heartbreaking. But in the one day that I spent there, I talked a lot with Vitor and with all the volunteers, and we saw little sparks of personality. You know, they're just starting to understand that they are safe and they can be what they should have been in the first place, like themselves, not just a number, but have a personality, have emotions. So at time we are setting up a tent, and then they just started, like, one of them started running, and then all of them started running. I was like, oh my God. And Vitor said, they're just playing. This is awesome. This is wonderful. They're starting to feel like themselves. So I almost started crying right there because I saw and I was like, oh my God, it's the best part of being a volunteer at Santuário Vale da Rainha is that you can see little miracles happening, and it's so, I don't know, it's the most wonderful thing. So I think I don't think, I'm sure that they will all be all right because they're in great hands. So
thank you very much, Mar. Yeah, then somebody asked here how things are going there right now. So as I said, they are recovering, but they are not recovered. Dr. Maurici was here today, and we talked, the vet in charge of that place and also in charge of our sanctuary. And he told me that as much as we want them to recover rapidly and fast, and we need to have patience, because what they went through, and it's not just that they went through with not drinking water and not eating food. We are talking here about not having a mom. Yeah. We're talking about trauma. We are talking about suffering. We are talking about every single reason to give up living. And sometimes we think that they suffer because they are hungry, but they also suffer because they don't have their moms with them. And I can imagine just 300 children crying and afraid and starving and looking for each other, and they do not have the maturity that a mother would have had if she was there, just to say everything is going to be all right, son. They didn't have that. So it's heartbreaking to imagine that it's happening. But now again, there we are seeing, but we can look at other places, for instance the supermarket, and we don't see. And this is what I wanted to emphasize here. It's not because we don't see in other places that this kind of thing is not happening, because every single time we talk about milk, we are talking about a child without a mother, a child without milk, when we see that in the supermarket, when we see milk for selling, milk being sold, I think is the way to say. Anyhow, sometimes we don't see because we are not aware, but we need to be aware. It's happening there, behind those code bars, behind that price, there is a value to pay. And a value to pay meaning somebody else's lives. And we need to stop this. Al, can you tell us, you said about several countries, and sometimes, for instance, we go to India and we think because they are just ahimsa and namaste and no violence, that everything is just perfect there. You said about traveling around the world. Have you been to India?
Yes, yeah, I was lucky enough to go there a few years ago. Had a very interesting experience there, but I won't go into that. But yes, I saw a lot of suffering there too, with yeah, human animals, but animals of all varieties out on the streets. You would see goats, monkeys, cows, just on the street, and some were in not so great situations there. And I was quite surprised that it was tough to find vegan food, because I would have thought that it would have been easy, but you know, a lot of the food has ghee in it. So yeah, it was a nice experience, but also, you know, as you say, you expect a place that worships, you know, cows as gods, that they would be treated, you know, much nicer than that I witnessed, unfortunately. But yeah, that was quite unfortunate.
I'm glad that you can share this out, because again, it's sometimes I think that people think, okay, this is happening only in Brazil, because Brazil, we have this government and we have a lot of problems here, but everywhere else in the world, everything is just fine. You know, in India, as you said, they worship the master cow, so they are fine. In United States, in England, it's just different. And we need to make sure that we're talking about the same problem all over the place, all over the world. And the problem can be solved not rescuing over 300. Yes, we are talking about the victims, but the problem itself will only be solved when we stop drinking milk, when we stop eating meat, when we stop exploiting master animals. That's the only way to stop all of this. So it doesn't matter where we look at there, if there is somebody eating meat, somebody drinking milk, there is somebody, a master animal, being exploited. And this needs to be really clear in our minds. There's no way to go. The only place to go is a vegan lifestyle. Other than this, we are going to suffer about everything that Marcela just told us. Mar, about this that we talked about other countries, you said something about being a fundraiser. So you go to countries outside Brazil, you go to Brazil, you go, and how do you justify to these people? And I think I'm actually going to change this. One time I heard somebody saying that they helped our sanctuary so we could raise awareness here, and our government, for instance, and people here would stop planting the grains that we are exporting, and basically grains that are killing our forests. So I'd like you to talk a little bit more about how do you defend, how do you convince, how do you talk about this, meaning how do we provide for these master animals, and how do we provide for these organizations trying to help and raise awareness as much as SBB is doing, for instance? Does it make sense?
Yeah, yeah. So this is a misguided notion that soy is the problem, because our country, Brazil, we export soy, and we use the little part that is not exported. We use to feed those animals. We use to feed the cattle. I kid with my friends because they say, you're vegan, you're killing Amazon and so on. And I just answer, it's not even 1% of the soy that we consume here that is the problem, you know? So, and when we talk with donors abroad, they are actually more in tune with this than here in Brazil. They know that soy is not the problem. They know that the cattle farms are the problem, that the cattle is killing the Amazon. It's making greenhouse gases and all the climate change problems that occur due to that. So it's kind of easier to speak with people abroad than here in Brazil, because they have this notion. I think they are more advanced when it comes to climate change information and so on. So this is the easiest part. Here in Brazil is the tougher one to speak to people here. Due to all of our structural problems, due to our politics, due to our media that seems to think that agribusiness is a good thing, and it makes people go to jobs and creates jobs and so on, but they don't see that as soon as we change the structure, new jobs will appear. So this is not the answer. Mm-hmm. This shouldn't be the answer. You're making you're making animals suffer, and also people as well. Because we know for a fact that we have slavery, like labor close to slavery on farms and in the agribusiness. So the misguided notion is actually here in Brazil. And that's why we need to raise awareness. And that's why we need to keep talking about it. And that's why the work the sanctuary do is so important. So yeah, I don't know if I'll agree.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
If he agrees with me, hope so.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. I recently saw, I might have shared this article with you, Marcela, about the deforestation that's going on there in Brazil with the Amazon, record levels under the administration there. Even since like last year, it's just increasing, and it's a crying shame. Because there could be, species in the Amazon that we don't even know that we're, destroying plant animal species that haven't even been discovered. The rest of the world sort of refers to it as the lungs of the earth. The Amazon's so important, especially, for the climate. To see this devastation is horrible, and hopefully other countries, will eventually do the right thing and not import these, various things that they're importing that is accelerating this. Because I think at the end of the day, it's just greed, and it's just horrible situation.
Yes. And what I think, actually, I many times, I often think to myself about what will take for us to wake up. And when I think about this, I get afraid, because we have had so many signals. We have had so many disasters. We have had, and it seems that we keep talking about something else. This is what I don't get. And this is really what I ask myself all the time. How can we get this message across? Because again, it seems that we are talking about something that is very urgent, and people are just listening, but not with the sense of the gravity of the message itself. So I think this is the question that I have to both of you now. How do you deal with, first, frustration? Meaning, okay, we have something very important to say, and there is nobody or very few people willing to listen to this message or to do something about this message, meaning a behavior change, for instance. And the second part is, how do you communicate? How do you keep yourself communicating to make sure that you don't get, as Al said, sometimes it's just depressing, the whole thing that is happening. And it's very easy for us just to turn our back and say, this is too much for me. I cannot contribute in any way. And this, I think this is a mistake, because we all need to do something. And yes, of course, it is depressing. Yes, it's sad. Yes, everything else. but we need to do something. So when you guys get frustrated that you have this message and nobody is listening, how do you deal with this, and how do you make your communication better so there is a greater chance for other people to listen to what you are trying to communicate?
Okay, can I go first? So you may think while so when I get frustrated, I lift buckets in the sanctuary. I'm actually kidding, but not as much, because this is the place that I go when I think that nothing else makes sense and I'm not doing my job well, or I'm not convincing people. Then I go to the sanctuary and I look at them. I look at the master animals, and then you feel from them, like you feel like everything is going to be all right. You're doing your best, and when you leave the sanctuary, you're pumped. You're full of energy. I may talk about this. You get so much joy from working. I think I messaged you, Patricia, this week, saying that I believe that there's no selfless deed, because when we work together and we are volunteering, we feel so happy and we feel so accomplished and so full of joy, that I think that's my answer for the frustration. And how we can achieve more people. I think you can convince someone in one out of 3 pillars: animals, environment, and health. Going vegan, you don't have a negative point. It's impossible. Your health gets better, you're doing good for the environment, and you're saving animals. So when you have the tranquility and the patience to talk to someone that is open to hear, it's kind of easy to get them to see the point. And if they don't, then you take them to the sanctuary and you show the animals, and then your point is it's right there. So yeah.
Thank you, man. Thank you. I think this is a question or a feeling that every now and then each one of us feel. And we need to overcome this. And this is why I'm asking you. Because again, it's easy to look at sadness, as Lari was saying, okay, it's bad for us, but it's worse for them. But when we get very, very sad, sometimes even that we are sad because of them, we forget about them and we start to just look at our own sadness. And it takes a lot of work and a lot of mindfulness, if I can say this word, just to be in the present moment and realize that we need to serve them and not just serve our own drama and our own sadness and depression, because of course we feel all of this, but they are feeling much more. So if you can share something about how you overcome this, because again, every now and then, I believe that each one of us face this.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think most ethical vegans do. You know, it's so easy when you've seen horrible footage of suffering and you've seen animals suffering. You've witnessed that. It's very traumatizing, and seeing the way that the world is with not going vegan, with not caring about, you know, the climate crisis, it can get extremely frustrating. And I'm sure there's a lot of misinformation on social media that can have a lot to do with that. But for us, I think, you know, Marcela said it very well, that you try to turn something negative into something constructive. And, you know, just you have to take care of your own mental health in order to be able to fight for the animals and be a good voice for them. It's yeah, super frustrating, but you can't give up. And I think every once in a while, you know, you have to have some exposure to that in order to sort of reinvigorate your passion for helping. And certainly, like, anyone that can go and have you know, interaction with animals is always a good thing. And so, yeah, it's definitely a tough question, but that's probably what I'd say. And just like what Marcela said about, like, the you know, the 3 pillars, there's so many good reasons to be vegan. You know, a vegan person can save up to 200 animals a year by not consuming, you know, an omnivore diet. And, you know, the climate crisis, as we talked about, is just, you know, it's only going to get worse. And governments are trying to sort of, you know, reduce emissions, but I'm sure there's a lot of greenwashing going on there. But being one of the leading causes of climate change, going vegan is definitely, you know, would be a huge factor in helping that. So many good reasons. And even if you don't care about all that stuff, you know, your health is also a big thing, with less heart disease, cancer, diabetes, high blood pressure. So yeah, so many good reasons, and I can't think of any bad reasons. But yeah, just I think trying to look after yourself and you know, help the animals when you can is you know, do what you can.
Thank you all. This topic about self-care is something that I really enjoy talking, because I realize that every now and then we get so much into service, and it seems like a mistake, as a sin, to take time to ourselves. And we need to realize that when we do not do this, we might not be able to help. So if anyone feels bad about taking time to yourself, to just take this time, because you are going to give more, you're going to serve better, you are going, and this mental health is so important, because every single day, if we are already vegans, or if we are going through a transition to become vegan, we deal with this information, and this information always carries something about death, disease, disaster, and every single bad aspect of what's going on in the world today. So we need to have some mental health, as Al said, and as Marcela also said, something to do just to recharge, just to look at the world again and feel hopeful about the future. Because if we don't, I realize that when we communicate and we are excited about something, there is a little bit more chance that the other person will listen to. But if we talk just saying, okay, I'm going to say, but everything is just lost, we just lost it, and the world is lost, and humanity is lost, and everything is lost, then people are just like, okay, everything is lost, and I'm not going to do anything about it. But if we say something, okay, we can change, and we give, you know, reasons, and as Al said, there is no bad reason for this, as Marcela said, that every good reason we can list, then people start to get excited, or at least curious about veganism, about a word that we can change. And we can, because again, when we face what's going on in Cunha, we can get overwhelmed about over 300 master calves there, but we can take a step back, and instead of being overwhelmed and just thinking about them, yes, let's do everything that we can for them, but we also need to think about the others. And this is where we need to have this mental health, the self-care, and everything that we can count on, just to make sure that we don't give up. Because the only ones that can change this, master animals will not change the world. They are already perfect. They don't need to improve themselves. We need self-improvement, we need self-knowledge, we need to learn to meditate, we need to learn to contemplate. When you see a master cow, they go up to a mountain, and they sit there and they're calm. They are grateful. They don't need self-improvement. They don't need self-knowledge. They don't need to be calm if we leave them alone. They have all of this. We need improvement because we are the imperfect ones. So when we talk about all of this, there's no way that we are going to take humans out of this picture. We need to talk about humans, and we need to talk to humans as well, because there's no way out. So again, when we look at Cunha, we need to look at all the situations, say, okay, we can change this. And how can we? And talking specifically about Cunha, I would like to know, it's just a curiosity, because here in Brazil, it's just happening everywhere. Mauricio told me today that there is another complaint close to Uberaba, the city that reported over 1,000 master bovines also in the same situation. So he told me today that there is another complaint nearby the town. So it's just like, okay, how we're going to do this? It's just insane. Because again, we are here overwhelmed. It has become so intense just thinking about transporting this over 300 here. And of course we can, and of course we will do, and of course, but it's just a lot of work. We cannot pretend it's not. It's a lot of work, but yes, we are going to do this, and that's fine. Let's think about 1,000 and then 300 somewhere else. And then I just would like to know how these things, are they happening in the sense of coming and because of course, as we said, disasters are happening everywhere, but I'm talking about these things are happening in your country right now. Are you seeing this kind of disaster? Because I'm trying to elaborate if this is happening here because our government just allows farmers to do whatever they want to do, or is the climate change, or is just because people are just planting soy and not caring about master animals? I'm just trying to understand why is it happening here, because it seems that we have one case and another case. And just talk to us about this. Do you see this in your country, this kind of disaster as you are seeing here in Brazil?
I don't believe I've heard of something like this. Like specifically, I've seen and heard of other disasters where there's been weather incidents and fires that have hurt and killed many animals, and this stuff that we probably don't even know about that's going on. I'm sure there was definitely a situation, I believe, with some chickens where they have been abandoned in California, so yes, thinking about it more a little bit now, I'm sure that this does go on quite a bit, and people just have the sense that animals are less than us, and humans should come first in every aspect. And I hear this a lot, but it takes nothing away from us to help animals as well as help humans. And so I think that it's probably happening for various reasons, and I'm not entirely sure why it's happening in Brazil so much right now, but it wouldn't surprise me if it was happening, all over the world, all of the time, and it's a shame on humans for allowing that to happen. There's not many good laws, and even when there are, they're usually ignored anyway, because of the way that people just think of animals. So it's very unfortunate.
Yes, it's the reason why I asked is just because really I'm trying to understand, and I wanted to hear Marcela on this as well, because I noticed that yes, everywhere in the world, everywhere we know that there is exploitation. We know this, it's happening, but why are we encountering this kind of problem? Meaning, why or how does it get to this point? Because it seems that there is a point that there is somebody either neglecting or somebody knowing that they can get away from this. There is something, because really I'm really trying to understand this, because I'm not sure if we need to go to laws, or if we do have these laws and we need to go to the government and make sure that these laws can get applied. So I'm just trying to understand, because what I notice is this: okay, of course there is exploitation, but to this point it seems there is just something about this country right now. I'm not listening to this anywhere else. And if we identify the reason, we can work with whoever that person is, whoever that group is, and try to change this, because things cannot get to this point. Even if we look at this from a perspective of not hurting human beings, because it becomes a problem for health in that town for those humans. So every single place that we look at this, we can try to avoid, but I'm not sure which point is happening, you know, like where is it happening? Marcela, do you have something to say about this?
I do agree with the point of sanitary hazard, because
Yes,
we've we've seen how much they defecate and the fluids and so on, and we saw in other disasters that they were dying close to river streams. So this is really a huge problem. But I think that I have a different opinion. I think that this always happens, but people are are starting to speak up about it. People are starting to notice, are starting to give them a voice, because the greed is always there. Like I don't see those kind of people getting better. We see sparks of hope, as you put it. We see sparks of humanity, but when a person see an animal only as a product, they don't care. If they only think of profit, they don't care. I actually saw today some news about a really famous guy here in Brazil, Ratinho.
yes,
who sold all his farms because he saw the process of a calf being separated from his mother. So he saw it for the first time, and he said, "No, I don't wanna be a part of this. I'm selling all my land and so on." But if I was in front of him, I would say, this is just the tip of the iceberg. You're selling to another person. If you want to actually do something and make a difference, you should first start reducing meat and try to be vegan, because this is the most effective thing that you can do. Because this is not just for you. You become an example from others, for others, and you start to plant seeds in everyone you meet, and your health starts to improve and everything. So you are an example, and you are helping make a difference, a structural difference. It's not just like that land, that those animals. And this is something that I learned from you, Patricia. It's not about the 300 that we now know and the 140 that we know inside the sanctuary. It's about the billions that die every year, the nameless, the numbers, and we are working for them. We are trying to make each and every one of them to have a name, to have a face, to have voice. So I don't know. I think the people are just starting to speak up. They're starting to wake up. They're starting to see the problem. So I view this as something good. Not the suffering of the animals. Don't get me wrong. But the awareness, the consciousness of people starting to see them as living beings, not just a product.
Yes. And it's something. For sure, it's a leap of consciousness. It's happening. Yes, it's happening, and we cannot deny it. But it's still, I just wonder, you know, if there is something that we can do to avoid things to get to this point. But there's just, as you said, the only way we're talking about this, the only way is about people getting vegan. And about farmers and farms, I heard that in the United States, I'm not sure if it's the government, I'm not sure if there is a collective, a group of people, vegan people doing this. I'm not sure what happens, but I'd like to know about your programs helping people to change business. I do not know if you know about this, but I heard every now and then about a farm that used to do a dairy farm, and then they migrated to almond milk, or they started to plant instead of living that life of exploiting master animals. And the reason why is that I would like to know more about this, because I would like to, if we understand how these things work, we can fight to have initiatives like this in Brazil. I know that we have our, I am listening to myself and I'm laughing at myself at the same time. I know that we have a lot to do, but I mean, I just like, I cannot help, you know, we need to do something more. So just like I'm speaking, I'm laughing at myself. Okay, you have all free time to do this. But anyway, I just like to know more. So then maybe we can try to implement, to do some implementation, I think it would be the word.
Implement.
Something like this here in Brazil. So if you know something, who pays for this? Is this the government? Is this the, because we need to help people. We cannot just say to a dairy farm that we are going to close their business, because they have their bills to pay. They have their family, they have their employees, they have, and I really believe that we also need to communicate with these people and not just talk about them as if they were demons and we cannot hold a conversation with them. I do believe that we need to have this exchange. And I would like, imagine this, if we could have a project to talk to farmers that are willing to do a change. So how can we, do you have any information about this? Because I know that there is some of this that goes on in the United States. So do you have any information to share about this?
I'll have to research this and get back to you. I've definitely heard of this going on with various organizations, and perhaps, you know, government agencies too. It could be for other reasons. It could be for renewable technology, but also with switching out you know, animals for grains. I believe Mercy for Animals has done this, and they have quite a presence in Brazil. So maybe you know, the people there could help with that. But yeah, it's definitely something good to know and worthy of support. So I want to look into that more myself. For some reason, the Good Food Institute comes to mind as well.
Yeah, GFI.
Thank you all. You, Mar, would you be willing in your free time? Because Marcela, she has, I don't know, I think at least 4 jobs you have. Here at the sanctuary, we count, I mean, I don't know how she does everything that she does. It's just amazing. So would you be willing, Mad? We could talk about this seriously. When I look at what is going on in the world today, even though that we have so much work to do, I don't think we are in the position of saying, okay, I have my hands full, so I cannot help with anything else. I don't think this is something that we can do at this point, because we are seeing the end of the world. I do not want to be dramatic here, but this is the way I see. I mean, we look at master animals, they are just suffering and dying. We look at people, we might not look like we are suffering, but if we talk about how we are depressed, are suffering, and do not leave home, and it's just like a large number of people. We look at our forests and we see devastation, and we just like, okay, I'm going to look at this and say, okay, we are going to rescue this over 300, we don't have time. So I'm sorry. I don't think we can do this. I think we need to find the time. We need to find the inspiration. We need to learn more. We need to get ourselves to work on the word that we believe. And otherwise, we are going just to sit and see it coming to an end, because it's happening. So I'm not sure what you guys have to say about this, but truly, and Matt, I don't think, I would like people to get inspired to do something. We need to take action. There is information going on about many problems, social problems that we talked here, but talking about them will not solve. We need to get united. We need to talk about them from a solution standpoint, and not just to vent about the problems that we complain about. It's not about complaining. The time for complaining is over. Now we need to take action. And if there is something that you can do, people listening to us right now, just do it. If it means that you are going to reduce meat and reduce milk, if you are already vegan and you can be part of a transformation, of a revolution, please do. because we need it. We all need it. I think we need it even not just for saving master animals. And excuse me to get into this part. And I think we need this to save our souls, because I don't think humans have so the connection with their souls anymore. We have lost it. So it's about saving them, but also saving a part of ourselves that are parts, not just one part, but parts connected to our soul, just like compassion, service, consciousness, parts that we are starting to not find anymore in ourselves. And if we lose this, if we miss this, maybe we'll miss the whole journey on earth. So this is my thought. I just like to talk. Now I got excited talking, so now I'm just okay.
I don't know even what you say. I'm gonna leave now.
How do you guys feel about this? I mean, there's just so much to do. How do you deal with it? How do you get motivated? What ideas? Okay, what is your dream about making things happening? You know, like, okay, we are all vegans here. We understand that it's a priority. But what is your dream about working on something, getting people together? What idea do you have about this? Because then people can get inspired. I have this dream of talking to farmers, because I really believe that they need attention. They are doing things because their parents did, because their grandmas did it, their grandparents did, and we need to talk to them, and then things start to change. This is a dream of mine. And them starting to change their business. This is a dream that I have, and I would like to have people with me, so in our spare time we can devote ourselves to this other project. So I wanted to know, what's your dream about veganism? Something that, a project that would be just so great. If Al, do you have something like this?
I mean, my dream is for the world to go vegan, and it's not, you know, something that's going to happen overnight. But, you know, I've got faith that, you know, more and more people will go vegan as, you know, as they just see what's happening to the planet, as they see more of these investigations of animal suffering, and as, you know, they see another pandemic, and as they see, you know, just the climate crisis just increasingly worse. So yeah, you would hope that we're all heading to that dream, but yeah, we just need more people to fight the good fight. And as you say, not maybe demonize these people. I think definitely those farmers need to be held accountable, for sure, that have abandoned those poor animals. But like you say, I think, you know, communication is key here, talking to these people and working with them to change attitudes. And yeah, I think that's another wonderful venture to support of yours. And I'd just like to say, I know we're running out, but I think that everyone listening, you know, if they could go vegan, like you say, or donate what they can, especially people in the US, the UK, where the exchange rate is considerably better right now, to help. So you're doing so much good there that it's a great example to everyone.
Thank you. Thank you for your generosity. Thank you. Mar, do you have a dream to share with us?
A lot of dreams, but I think the one that most comes to mind is if we have the government to support agricultural families, like small farms of grains, just as they support the meat. I don't know if Al knows this, but we have less taxation here in Brazil regarding meat than any other sort of product or food. So I think my dream would be this, because I don't know if you saw a documentary in Netflix that is called, I don't know if, no, it's not on Netflix, but it's on YouTube, that's called Sobre a Pata do Boi. I don't know how to say it in English.
Underneath
but
somebody.
underneath the bull's paw. This is the translation, but I'm sure it has another name.
Yeah.
But it's really interesting. It's not about veganism, but it's about cattle farms, and they interview some of the owners, and they explain like we cannot do anything else here because of the taxation and the prices. This is the only thing that we can do. So some people demonize the farmers, but if we don't present another alternative, just like Patricia said, if we don't come up with a solution, they can't do anything else. It's unfair, but it is what it is. We cannot reset the world. We need to work with what we got. So, but this is something that donors always approach us to do. It's like working with policies. And here in Brazil, this is particularly difficult because we have a lot of lobbyists and a lot of big companies, and it's I don't know if everyone knows about Zeitgeist, but it's too big to fail. Those documentaries and expressions. And here in Brazil, the cattle farms, this type of business, I see as something that is too big to fail right now. So I know that we need to go after laws and policies and so on, but we need to have public opinion on our side first. And that's why we work with individuals as well, because we think that with when we present something, if we have the support of the public, then we will have a shot, you know.
That's perfect, man. Yes, I'm always thinking here how we can bring people together, how we can work, how can we make our dreams come true. In this sense, as I said, we wanted the world to go vegan, and it's not going to happen overnight, but we can help. And this is I think the whole dialogue that I'm trying to open with each one and each self. You know, it's like, how can I contribute to this? How can I do something for this? Even though that if you are listening to us right now saying, okay, I already do something, do more. Do
Not
more.
enough.
You can do it. Because I only think that this is the only way that we are going to get past this point, you know, and it's just very complicated right now. So I cannot just look at this and say, okay, it's fine. Everyone that is doing what he or she can, thank you. You know, just do more. We need more. And well, I'm going to pass the final words to you guys, final message that you guys might have. Already you believe. I'm just looking at this and say, okay, we have talked for 1 hour. So thank you very much for your time. You guys listening, you guys talking. So thank you very much. And I just wanted to say that about Cunha, we are going to receive them, not all of them at once, which means that they are going to come as they recover. Usually we have a space for 30 or 40 because they are pretty tiny, as Marcela was saying, in a truck. So as they get better, they will travel. And as they come, our structure will change more and more. In the beginning, they will not meet with the other ones that are here just for security reasons, because we need to make sure that they are recovered. We need to make sure that they can walk, that if they play, they don't fall, things like this. So we are going to do this again. It will be one truck, then the other truck, then other truck, but the whole structure that we have today will change. And we need your help. Your help meaning you can go to 1 billion and write reviews. You can donate. You can be part. You can join the ashram. It's a program that we have here in Brazil that you donate, and you don't just donate one time. You go there and you just set it up to donate every single month. So we need this right now. We have always needed. But right now, I feel that we need this more and more. And our commitment, and I think I can speak to I can speak not just to myself, about myself, I can speak for the whole team. Our commitment here is not just about the ones that are coming. It's not about, okay, we have over 400 to look after, we are busy. We are never busy to save lives. If we start to get too busy to save lives, we got into our own egos. We got into our own egos. We are not looking at others anymore. We can never, never be too busy to save somebody else's life. We can never be so sad or depressed to say a positive word to somebody in need. If this is happening, we might be missing our journey on earth. And I need us to pay attention to this, because the whole thing that is happening because of human beings. It's not happening because of master animals. It's not happening because of the forest. It's not happening because of master trees. It's not happening because of the ocean. All these beings are perfect and they are God sent to this earth. We need to look at ourselves, and we can never be too busy to help. We can never think that we don't have anything to help, to donate, to assist, because we do have. So please help this mission if it speaks to your heart. And if you say, okay, Patrice, I enjoyed listening this conversation, or I didn't anyway, and I don't think I'm going to do something to donate, fine, but I'm going to provoke you to donate to someplace else, because people need help to make dreams come true. And these dreams that people are dreaming, like the ones that we talked here, they are not being dreamed here because of ourselves. We are not dreaming this because we are going to get benefit from this. We are dreaming this because it's right to do so. Because it's right to think and to want every single being happy. So again, if you do not want to donate to us, donate to somebody else. Because we need to get together to have strength, enough strength to change this world. It's not going to happen with one organization or with one single person. It's going to happen with all of us supporting each other. So this is my final message. I'm going to pass the voice to you guys. Thank you very much, Al and Mar. You guys are wonderful and I admire you so much.
So, you want to go, Al?
You.
Oh, okay. It's funny because some people may hear what you're saying and feel sad, and I just feel like fire burning inside of me. Like I want to help, I want to do stuff, and so I don't know. It's amazing. I don't know how you do it, but it's so powerful. And something that I would like to add is you asked me about frustration, and something that I saw that was amazing was having a community, having people who believe in what you believe in. And I think these live streams, the ashram community, those things are something that we can rely on, that we can support each other. We are not alone. Everyone can be an activist, everyone can make a difference, but we are not alone. Some people feel so alone when they transition to veganism, or they start seeing the world, because when you go vegan, you start seeing a lot of other stuff going on in the world. It's I don't know, it's crazy. And so my final words would be: support one another, be someone's rock, help someone go through this. We are here to help the animals, but we are animals as well. We can't forget about the person that is out there working with you. So I guess my final words would be someone's rock, help someone.
Thank you, man. Powerful message. Thank you. Al, we want to hear from you.
It's not fair.
So what do you want to say?
No, definitely Marcela had some amazing points, especially about the subsidies. There's such corruption, like in the US with this. The lobbying, which I call just open corruption here, is so powerful. If they had to switch from helping these animal agriculture industries to like a vegan based food, in the change would be tremendous. But of course we need public support, as was also mentioned there. So yeah, I think just to sort of like summarize everything, for me, there's no more important cause than helping those that can't help themselves. And there's so much suffering going on in the world, and especially with animals, the volume, the quantity, the amount of animals. So if you can do anything, just go vegan. And if you can't do that, try to reduce your meat, dairy, and eggs, and try to help in other ways. Try to give support, if it's time or money. Just do something, because you'll feel so much better for it. And working with these different sanctuaries has been so rewarding. I mean, I would just recommend it to anyone. So thank you. This has been such a pleasure and an honor. I really appreciate it. And thank you again.
Wow, thank you very much for you guys, for being here, for your time, for being so humble, for having positive messages in the mess that we live today in this world, to look at this bright side and to share this with the world, with people, so we can get excited about this new world we are all going to build together. Thank you so very much. We are waiting to have you here as soon as you can. Right, Marcela?
Yes, I'll give you a t-shirt. Yes.
So we're waiting for you. Thank you so very much. I'm going to ask you if I can sing a mantra to finish our live streaming. Can I? Okay, thank you so much. Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. May all beings be happy and free. Thank you so much. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Ciao.